What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Beyond the Veil Tarot and Astrology. My name is Candace Marie. Thanks for joining me this evening. Happy Friday. Hopefully you guys are doing well. It's Friday night, so we're going to be doing our live readings. We alternate every other week, and this week happens to be tarot. So if you're new to my channel, do me a favor, drop me a comment below, say hello in the comment box, or unless you guys are watching live, and make sure you give me a thumbs up and you are subscribed. I'm excited to be doing these readings for you guys. We have a bit of people who are already in the queue. So let me know if you guys can hear and see me and you're good. We'll give everybody a few minutes just to see that we're going live. In the meantime, I'll let you guys know how you can get a reading. There is a QR code right here. You can scan that. It's going to take you directly to my PayPal where you can make a donation. We're asking for $20 donation for one card. Ask whatever you guys would like, or 3 cards for $40. And once you guys make the donation, let me know and I will put you in the queue. What's up, Miss V? Hello, Zap. Happy Friday. How's everybody doing? What are you guys doing this evening? Hey, Sam. Hey, S. Toddman. Just to give you guys a heads up of who we already have, I've got Carrie, Selma, Kristen, Vanessa, Miss V, Key, nope, that was somebody else. Lee, and looks like we've got Rebecca. Obaga, am I saying your name the right way? Hey, Kay. How's everybody doing? Are you guys ready for the weekend? How was your full moon? That was a gnarly one. Let's jump into it. Let's see, is Carrie and Selma here? Just want to make sure you guys are here before I do your reading. And I just want to say a big thank you to all of my level 2 and level 3 members. You guys are awesome. If you guys like my content, if you like my weekly videos that I'm doing on astrology, the new and full moon reports, the horoscopes, all that stuff, you guys can support me by joining my memberships. I've got 3 different levels. You're gonna get shout outs if you're a level 2 or 3, and level 3 is gonna get a reading once a month. If you can't, you're just here to hang out, totally fine. You can interact with us in the chat. You can share this with somebody who might want a reading as well. Or you can join me on any one of my weekly videos and say hello. What's up, JFab? How's it going? Hey, Maria. Yeah, it's been a brutal moon. Kayla, okay. All right, gotcha. Well, thank you. I appreciate that. I did see the bank. I told you guys there was going to be some bank runs at some point. We were going to see that as we start feeling these eclipses that are coming in. The eclipses that are coming in, one is going to be the 3rd week of April, and then we've got another one that's still going to be taking place, and that's going to be around May the 5th. So as we get closer to April, we're going to start feeling these eclipse energies. I think that may only be the beginning. I think we're going to see more because the Scorpio eclipse that we're going to see at the beginning of May is going to be in opposition to Uranus, and Taurus is the banks. Yeah, that full moon hit the day after. It was the day after for me. I'm over these mutable squares. I don't have anything mutable in my chart, so whenever there's all these wild mutable squares, I feel like a crazy person. All right, so let me say a big thank you to all my members for level 2 and 3. Christine, Stephanie, Deanna, Charlie, Deb, The Mystic Road, Barbara, Penny, Steve, Paula, Sarah, Maui, Catherine, Claudia, Tiara, Angela, Willow, Emma, Susan, Taliba, Jackie, Herzad, Nancy Solarito, Jessica Martinez, and Susan Wexler. You guys are the best. Thank you guys for supporting my YouTube channel. We'll probably leave the queue open for like 20-ish minutes, maybe 30 minutes. So if you guys are still making your donations, don't worry, I will let you know. Thank you. I appreciate you too. Sometimes now, like, I feel like I did videos on some of this stuff talking about this. If anybody took my webinar, like last year during the summertime, I did a webinar on the North Node Uranus conjunction. And if you guys remember, I think it was like the end of July, beginning of August, Mars was there. So that conjunction basically is still playing out. Like we're going to see this through the eclipses and stuff. And I was like, look, people need to start farming. And I said, people need to get their money out of the banks. I said a lot of pretty crazy things at the time, and now it's starting to make sense. Oh boy. What's up, Austin? I saw that you're in there. Okay, so we're gonna do Carrie, and we're gonna do Selma, and then we are going to be reading for you Kayla. So you guys are on deck. Let me take a look at what your questions are. So Carrie says, one card reading, please. So many challenges lately, lots of breakdowns, looking for a breakthrough. Aren't we all? What's up, Emma? I'll get you next. Just let me know what your question is. I'm happy to read for you. All right, so Carrie says she's having lots of breakdowns. We should make jackets and start a club. So she wants guidance on some of this breakdown. What is going on? Well, not an easy card, but it makes sense. So you guys know that the minors, right? The tarot goes from the ace through the 10. Okay, so here we've got the 5 of coins. It can literally be about feeling left out, or like FOMO, feeling left behind. The element is earth, so it can be about challenges and frustration over money, resources, not feeling like you have enough, feeling like you're kind of like, falling behind on things. But the 5 represents like the steepest part of the cycle, right? It's like smack dab in the middle between the ace and the 10. We do see somebody who's like on crutches, so this can also be something that talks about kind of bouncing back from something. It can be an injury, it can be a financial setback. It can also be this feeling that you don't have enough time, right? There isn't enough time to complete things, to get things done, or you're feeling like you're running out of time. Obviously, you see that they're in a blizzard, they're outside of the church, they're wanting to get inside where there's security, where there's safety, where there's warmth, but they're stuck outside and they're feeling like forgotten. So when I see this card come up for a client, I always remind them, like, where do you need to assess the situation and figure out the most important thing that you need to tackle? Instead of getting overwhelmed with everything that's going wrong, kind of look at this and go like, okay, how do I put one foot in front of the other and create a list of what I need to tackle in the most important order. After this card, we get the 6 of coins. Okay, so that is a point of receiving support, somebody who, puts a little bit of money into your pocket, somebody's willing to feed or help or take care of you, and there is this exchange. So this may be the breakdown point that makes you realize like, hey, I gotta ask for help. I need somebody to help me through this time. I can't do this by myself. And isolating yourself is something that you also want to watch with this card coming up, because there can be a sense of like pride with the 5 of Pentacles. It's like, no, I don't want to tell people that I can't handle it. No, I don't want to ask for help. No, I don't want to admit that there's an issue here, or that I'm not going to be able to handle something on my own. If you're feeling like this, if you're feeling like you need assistance or you're feeling left out, it's important that you kind of stick up and you say something and you let people know that you're going through a difficult time. I've seen this card come up a lot for myself, also for clients, and I've noticed that this comes up for me when I don't want to admit that there's something wrong, right? Or that I'm kind of bottoming out in a situation. The 5 of Pentacles is like, well, if you don't ask, nobody knows that you're going to need any assistance. So it can continue that perpetual state of just feeling like nobody gets it, nobody understands. Well, if you don't ask for help, nobody's going to be able to give you assistance. See, this is an opportunity also to really assess financial situation. So if there is a financial situation or a health situation, a physical situation that needs to change, where you feel like you're in dire straits, this is the time to get on top of that and really acknowledge like, okay, I can't continue to let this kind of get to this point, or I'm not going back to this point again, right? This can also be about seeking shelter or feeling like you just need a break from the storm of the things that are going on in your life right now. So right now it seems like you're kind of combating a number of different elements and feeling like you can't catch a break. So sometimes this comes up where I tell clients, like, sometimes it's a matter of just literally taking a few days to kind of collect yourself and focus on healing or rest, recuperation, and, recovering from something that has kind of set you back, rather than just working through it. Because when we see the coins come up, there can be a sense of just being like, I'm fine, everything's okay, keep working through it. If somebody's asking you if everything's okay, if somebody's asking you if you need help, it's important that you tell the truth, you be honest with them, even though it can be difficult for you to say otherwise. I do think that that's like the opening point of allowing you to receive the assistance that you need. I also want to remind you that this is a minor arcana card. So when the minors come up, we can flip those around. We can turn those into a majors. It may be a period of a couple of weeks that you're working with. You know, this can be on the 5th month, right? 5 increments of 5. So it can be by May, you're feeling like you're coming out of this situation and you're coming out of the storm. I would look at where you have Earth placements in your astrology. So look at where you've got Taurus, Virgo, and Capricorn. Because this is the element of Earth and because it's a 5, it's suggesting that there is a need to kind of push past physical limitations right now, or pushing past some kind of physical challenge or some kind of 3rd dimensional, you know, issue. Sending you lots of good vibes because that is a difficult card. But as your confirmation card, the card on the bottom is the King of Wands. So it's saying it's about taking action, right? Finding creative ways to be able to blast through this, looking for support from a fellow fire sign. So look out for those Aries, Leos, and Sagittariuses that might pop into your life to help you kind of move through this more swiftly, okay? Good luck, Carrie. What's up, Emma? Emma says, question is some good guidance with this guy that I'm seeing and what I should be aware of. That's a good question. All right, Emma, let's see what the cards say for you. It is Friday night. All right, so let's see what we need to know about this new guy. When is his birthday? Do you know what sign he is? All right, so we've got, here we go, the 8 of Swords, Queen of Swords, Knight of Wands. Interesting combination. Do you feel like there's been a sense of being a little reluctant moving forward in the dating game, or you've been a little hesitant to put yourself out there? Has there been a sense of you questioning whether or not you're gonna find someone, if it's too good to be true? Is there somebody who's taking a little bit longer, kind of opening up? Ugh, Libra sun and moon with an Aries rising, holy cow. Okay, that's a lot. So the interesting thing is that he's gonna kind of get it from both ways. Right? So for Libras, they're going to find with the North Node moving into Aries and the eclipses here soon, it's a really strong time for relationships. However, he's an Aries rising, so it's bringing all the attention to his ascendant. I love that the Knight of Wands is coming up because that tells me that really it's going to be about somebody who's kind of taking the reins and focusing on being able to make things happen in the relationship. It's all going to be about action, okay? You're coming up as a Queen of Swords, so I'll get there in a second. But I think that the 8 of Swords, excuse me, being in the previous position is really kind of saying somebody has felt stuck or somebody has been a little unwilling or a little unsure about moving forward in relationships, or maybe somebody was not even looking, right? It could be literal because they're in a blindfold. That's in the past position. The current position, we have the Queen of Swords, so that can be talking about really exercising a sense of communication, intellect, exchange, right? And somebody who's very direct with her words and her ideas, and also like boundaries. I could definitely see that with the Queen of Swords coming up. This can also be saying like there is a sense of you having a little bit more control in the situation, right? Because knights always answer to queens. They do the bidding for the royal family. So I think with the Queen of Swords kind of coming up, she really commands a lot of attention, and there's a sense of whatever she says, like the knight is going to respond to. So that's interesting. Oh, okay, I'm reading your comment. It was unexpected space for both of us to move into. Very much too good to be true. It started in quite a magical way. Yeah, he wasn't even looking. That's great. So, you know, the Queen of Swords, you have his attention. Like, you definitely have his attention because there is a lot of him, you know, he's facing you. I mean, literally in the spread, this is somebody who's like, do you want to go and do this together? Do you want to go and do that together? Which is such an interesting combination, having that Aries rising with all that Libra, because you're going to see the benefit of the transits through his first house really bouncing off of his 7th house oppositions, where the more he's taking action and he's like really leaning into the relationship with himself and really focusing on his own curiosity and his own adventures and all of the things that are going to make him feel free, right, is going to be about including another person. So I think that this is a good match. I do feel like there is a sense that that Knight of Wands, he is not always the most commitment-oriented person, okay? And that's not me saying that it's not going to work, but when the Knight of Wands comes up, there is a sense of somebody who's like, okay, let's see where this goes. Not really planning a relationship, not really thinking about commitment. They're more about what's going on in the moment, and there can also be a sense of there being a really strong chemistry, or like a really strong kind of gravitational pull where it's like there's no real stopping this. So be mindful that if he has, you know, if this is just like a free-for-all, he'll just be like, okay, great, we're just gonna, you know, we're just like, you know, doing this and we're in this thing and we're together. But be mindful of when the eclipses start happening, because you are going to have eclipses in his first house and in his seventh house. The South Node will be moving through his seventh house. That does not mean he can't be in a relationship. It means that as the South Node eclipses swing through there over the next year and a half, almost 2 years, there is a releasing and a breaking down of relationships that are not serving him. And if you've got a Sun and Moon in Libra, the consciousness is very much entangled in the idea of relationship. What he's learning with the North Node eclipses coming and Jupiter in his first house is he's going to have to travel by himself. He may go back to school. He may want to learn how to fly a plane. He may want to focus on his body and what he's learning about fitness and health. And he can maintain a relationship as long as he's maintaining a relationship with himself and redeveloping, that relationship with himself. Really feeling confident and secure in a romantic partnership, so he can allow himself not to feel like he has to be, you know, like smothered all of the time, which he'll do to himself with that Sun and Moon in the seventh. Anyways, yeah, just be mindful of your communication. You know, if you're telling him that you need something, maybe it's a matter of even telling him like, hey, I'm here. Don't worry about me. You can go off, run and do your thing. Like, you know, you don't have to be calling me or texting me. You don't have to see me all the time. I'm going to be here. Do what you got to do. And it's going to have like this weird adverse effect on him, where I feel like that's what's going to give him the confirmation. That's like, you can still have all the freedom and the stuff that you want, but make sure that you come back home. And he'll listen. With the Queen of Swords coming up, he's going to really value what it is that you have to say, your communication style, your clarity, and the fact that you're really going to express yourself very well. Sometimes that's like the best, like when you're not really looking for something and somebody shows up, because it does add a little bit more magic to the connection. And I like the air and fire combination because it feels like it's fueling each other. Like in a way, you guys are kind of complementary and giving each other what each other need, and maybe what's been lacking in previous relationship dynamics. So it's not just exciting because it's new, it's exciting because there's room for this to actually really grow, right? Emma says, oh my God, that's what we're doing. We've been really clear on neither of us losing each other and finding the joy in an individual world. That's so awesome. So it's really great confirmation. And I feel like also that's helping you guys move forward from the past and breaking out of old limiting thoughts in terms of what relationships have to be like, right? Really cool. Let me know what happens. Definitely looks it looks good, and I feel like there can be a lot of you directing also things that you want to be doing together. You know, he'll take an interest in some of the things that you have an interest in. Thank you for being a member. I appreciate your support, and I look forward to hearing back from you next month. What's going on? I've got Selma. You're very welcome, Emma. Congrats. I know that you've been on the lookout for a little bit. So Selma says she's a Cancer for a general reading. What do I need to know? Thank you. All right, Selma, let's take a look. You got 3 cards. Ooh, that one. All right. All right, so these are the cards that I have for you. We've got the 5 of Cups, 3 of Coins, and the Queen of Wands. Well, it's a better ending than it is a beginning. 5 of Cups talks a little bit about trying to like overcome something, right? 5 of Cups, the 3 of Cups that are kind of tipped over. There can be a sense of being like, okay, something didn't pan out the way that I wanted it to emotionally. there was some emotional, discontent or disconnection or something that has been upsetting you. This can be a card that comes up for depression. This can be a card that comes up for feeling lost or for feeling lonely. We want to be careful with this card because if we get too comfortable being in this space, there can be a sense of, getting stuck there, right? Reflecting, I think also getting stuck on the past or things that have happened in the past or reflecting on things that have happened that you have no control over. Thankfully, it's in the past position. Followed by the Three of Coins. So this is a lot of like picking yourself up by the bootstraps, really focusing on consistency. So I don't know if you're focusing on being like, I'm getting to work on the things I can change. I'm focusing on making changes literally at work. That Three of Pentacles can talk about building something, working with a team, being able to kind of put one foot in front of the other and really see forward motion and progress. Can be professionally, it can be with your health. Equally, this can be with your finances because the element of earth deals with all of these things. The Queen of Wands coming up as the final card is interesting because you're not a fire sign, but I'm thinking just being a Cancer and Jupiter going through your 10th house and eclipses coming in through your 10th house pretty soon, and you're going to see this new moon that's coming in your 10th house. It might be about more embodying that archetype of feisty, right? Creative, driven, independent, fearless, courageous. There's a lot of like Stella getting her groove back in this particular spread because you kind of move on from feeling like sorry for yourself or feeling stuck in a situation or not being able to move on from it. And then you move to the Three of Pentacles. That's like, I have to do something. I'm not just going to sit around and just let this continue to kind of fester. Maybe it's a 3-month plan. Maybe this is a plan for you to focus on kind of tweaking and perfecting some of your professional skills. And in the midst of that, your energy levels change creatively. There's a lot of opportunity for self-expression. And what I like about the Queen of Wands is that there is a sense of her not caring what other people think. And wanting to maybe even reinvent yourself because the Queen of Cups is a little bit kind of dreamy and she's still kind of younger and immature. The Queen of Swords is a little bit more serious. This is probably one of my favorite queens because it talks about being able to use your intuition, really feeling yourself creatively, being able to express yourself and being able to really focus on, okay, but what is working? What is good? What is going to bring me life? What's going to bring me happiness? What's going to bring me fun? So a conscious decision to shift out of the past and to walk away from things that if you continue to keep harboring those feelings and focusing on that, it's never going to change, right? So it looks like you've been constructively in that. I do feel like it's a 3-month period, so I don't know when this started or when that shift took place, or maybe that you're just feeling like really excited about some of the potential future changes that are happening for you financially or with your health or with your career. But it's really helping you align with that element of fire. And so, I would say if this is a card that's coming up for you personally and thinking about your midheaven, people talk so much about the ascendant sign and that the ascendant sign is like how you look. And there's connections to that, but I feel like the midheaven is really how you appear out in the world. So maybe you're wearing more gold jewelry. Maybe you're wearing things that are brighter and flashier. Maybe you're, focusing more on being out there and being seen and really celebrating this new kind of romance that you're having for this new identity or how you're showing yourself in the world and like really playing the part, right? Because this can be very dramatic because it is associated with the fire signs. So I'm glad to see that there's a shift that's going on. If you're still in the middle of it, if you're contemplating it, this is what's coming. And maybe still waiting to see some of these results. Equally, friends can pop in. So there can be women who can show up. That can be really helpful. That can be inspiring. That can encourage you and kind of guide you or encourage you to want to make change in your life. And look for this from fire signs. So Aries, Leos, and Sagittarians can kind of pop in and help you with this, especially in regards to creativity and work, because these two cards together make me feel like there is a way to be able to find more financial freedom or find that you can build on skills that you have professionally by really using your creativity and your inspiration with the Queen of Wands, okay? Good spread. Hopefully that's helpful. Do circle back and let me know. What's up, Marcia? How's it going? I have got, let's see. Kayla, and then Kristen, and then Vanessa, and then Miss V, in that order. So I have got Kayla. Kayla says, 3-card pull. I'm an Aries Sun, Leo Moon, Cap Rising. Looking for any clarity on all aspects of my life, open to whatever the cards need to tell me. Here we go. All right, let's take a look. How are you feeling with Jupiter in conjunction to your sun? I would imagine as a Cap Rising, things have been probably interesting on the home front. Home or family. Stuck. All right, wait till it gets into your 5th house. Let's take a look. So what clarity can we give Kayla? What's up? Who is this man, Kayla? Who is this man? Or are you're becoming your own rich man? So we've got 7 of Cups, 10 of Cups, and the King of Pentacles. And I mean, I know this is gonna sound kind of cheesy, but I kind of get the impression like there may be somebody who comes into your life that gives you clarity about what it is that you're really looking for, okay? And this can be, you know, King of Pentacles can be a boss. It can be a new romantic interest. If I had to pick a king, I mean, if I had to pick a card, I would want the Emperor, right, to show up in a love reading, because that's like, you know that they're reliable. But if I had to pick a king, I'd want the King of Pentacles, because it's like he means what he says what he means, he's stable, there's no sense of feeling like you have to question things with this person. Sometimes it comes up as somebody who is an earth sign, so Taurus, Virgo, Capricorn, or significant placements. I know you're a Capricorn rising, so this can talk about you tuning into this energy as well, being like, I'm gonna boss up, or I'm going to make my own happiness, right? I'm gonna make my own way. I'm gonna make things happen for me. But I have a feeling with that King of Pentacles at the end, really what it's saying is that there may be more stability coming in for you, either in terms of, having companionship, right? I mean, that factored in with the 10 of Cups. It's not like you got the King of Coins and the 10 of Coins. I would be like, well, this is a really good time work-wise. It's saying that right now, or maybe recently, you've been in a state of feeling very confused and not knowing what it is that you want, not knowing which end is up. 7 of Cups is like, well, I'm gonna just throw darts at the wall and see what sticks. You're not really making any decisive decisions. Maybe there's a sense of getting overwhelmed with too many potential options. Just me thinking about your chart, being a Capricorn rising, you're gonna have most all of your major outer planets in the southern part of your chart, right? So you're gonna have the North Node that's getting ready to go from your 4th to your 5th. You've got Pluto going into your 2nd house. You've got Saturn going into your 3rd house. You've got Jupiter going into your 5th house. There's just so many planets moving through the bottom part of your chart that it's more personal, introspective, private life, home, family, things like that. So you want to work with what the universe is giving you. And I can't think of a better time for romance and relationships and falling in love and feeling fulfilled than the Capricorn rising horoscope. Watching the North Node, hang out in your 5th house, watching these eclipses that are still rolling through your 5th house, watching Jupiter going into your 5th house. The question is going to be, what do you love? Who do you love? What do you enjoy doing? What's going to bring you the most joy? How can you feel the most creative? And so there is this sense of like somebody coming in that can kind of be like a muse for you right now. And this is not Knight of Cups. This is not Ace of Cups. It's not like sappy love and romance and something that's not tangible, because this is very tangible. Maybe you'll find that through connecting with somebody who seems like they have their act together and they're grounded and there is a sense of stability with them, you start to kind of realize like, wow, this connection's improving my mood. It's improving my perspective about life. It's making me think about, could I want something longer and more serious with them? Could I see myself living with them? Could I have a relationship long-term with them? Because the 10 of Cups is about complete, total emotional fulfillment. It is the happy ever after card. there is a sense of being able to really enjoy that connection that you're having with somebody, really feeling like, wow, like maybe it's been worth the wait, because the Ten of Cups indicates you had to go through all the other cards to get there, and really focusing on building that emotional connection, because it doesn't just happen overnight, right? And so maybe if you're still in that Seven of Cups of like, you're not sure, you're still kind of feeling it out, that's okay. Give it some time, give it about 7-8 weeks. You'll start to see somewhere around 2.5 months or so that there is a significant shift, and you're going to realize, like, I don't think he's going anywhere. Like, I think he's here to stay. And that's when I think you'll start to open up even more. And don't underestimate the impact that companionship can have, and somebody who that is reliable can have on you right now. And it doesn't need to be about making plans for the future. Those Cap risings are so consumed with, like, you know, am I consistent? Am I busy? What am I building? What am I creating? And this is going to be more about, like, how can somebody coming into my life that is stable and consistent and does have a plan create so much positivity in my life that I'm really content just knowing that I have this emotional connection right now. And maybe it is about focusing on, wow, there's more to life than just staying busy, right? You're gonna see it's gonna be more about what you're doing behind the scenes and what you're doing within your private life. And I think that this can be like a really great start, to be honest with you, you know? Hopefully that's helpful, and you circle back and you let us know, because it looks really good. And I like that the King of Pentacles is reliable. Like, they can come up as an earth sign, so like a Taurus, Virgo, or a Capricorn. They're not the most romantic, but they show up, right? And so there is a sense of consistency. So like when you need them, they're there. You get what I'm saying? Hopefully that's helpful. Let me know how it goes. He's a Cancer. I like it. So he's in your 7th house. Nice. So we've got Kristen, Vanessa, Miss V, Lee, Rebecca, Austin. Let me update this. I'm going to leave this up for 5 more minutes. You guys want to get in the queue? I'll leave it up for 5 more minutes. And I got Jeffrey and Brandon. What's up, Brandon? I saw you send in your thing. Did you guys see my post? I was looking for students. I was looking for people who wanted to volunteer, which I've already filled. Okay, I already filled it, but I was looking for people to volunteer for my class on Sunday, because I have to start showing my Astro 201 students like how to work with clients, and I'm going to do a bunch of demos. I got, as of today, now it's like 240 emails. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. There's Kristen. But yeah, it was a lot of people there. Okay, so Kristen says, I'm looking at your comment and I'm looking at this. Libra Sun, Sag Moon, Scorpio Rising. Relationship, career, anything the universe wants to hear. My man is a Virgo Sun, Gemini Moon, Aquarius Rising. Holy mutables, Batman. How do you become a student? Well, you sign up for my courses, which I teach them live. So right now we're on the last week. So I've been teaching them each Sunday for 8 consecutive weeks. And then when we're done teaching it live, we package the course and then put it on my website. So if you guys want to learn how to read tarot or astrology, both of those beginner courses are already on my website. And my calendar is on sale. So if you guys need an astrology calendar, you can pick up one of those too. All right, so let's take a look. Thank you, Marcia. All right, so she says, anything that the universe wants you to hear. Scorpio rising, sun in Libra. So that would be what, 12th, 11th house-ish, right around there? Sag moon, 29 degrees. Let's see what the universe wants you to hear. All right, it was in this order. Hello, hello, there we go. 2 of Wands, the Temperance, and the 5 of Swords. Well, I would say this anyway, just knowing kind of your astro. But the Two of Wands, Temperance, makes me feel like there is a sense of going back and forth about a situation. Okay, going back and forth about a situation. I can only just think about Saturn changing signs. Technically for Placidus, it's still going to hang out in your 4th house. Is there a sense of you going back and forth about being like, do I do this or do I do that? It can be about a romantic situation. It can be about a living situation. I also think about like Mars, which is still going through your 7th house and it's in a square to Neptune. So are you feeling like you don't want to rush making a decision about going somewhere or rush making a decision about a living situation or a trip? So Two of Wands is like, you know, really assessing something. It's not like Two of Swords where you're kind of stuck. There is a sense of with Two of Wands that's like, I could see the path going this way. I could see the path going that way, right? And the good news is that this is an optimistic card. So it talks about really, you know, the world being at, you know, your fingertips. Like anything is possible. It can sometimes talk about being in a situation where if you make a decision, it's going to take you to another location because the globe can talk about geographical shifts. Temperance is saying like, hold on, I got to pump the brakes. I got to really, you know, examine this like and feel it out and really take time to figure out what's going to work best for me. And also like, is it the right timing for me to make this decision? I feel like the Five of Swords does seem a little prickly, where it's like if you were to be discussing this with somebody else, there can be a sense of them being like, you know, not combative, but being defensive, or maybe not giving you like the best advice, or somebody who's going to basically being like, well, why would you want to do that? Why would you want to do that right now? Right? And so maybe you're feeling like a little iffy about even speaking up about it. Absolutely romantic and work. Okay, cool. I was offered to move from Minnesota to Virginia for work. There you go. So, you know, timing wise, I don't necessarily know if it's best. And I would say that doubly, just knowing your astro. I get the impression that if you make a decision too soon, it almost feels as if the decision that you make is going to hinder or create some problems, potentially communicating, right, with other people. Whether that's like distance, and then other people are like, you know, I'm not hearing from you as much, like I don't have the support that I need from you. To me, it feels like a little too soon to make a decision. Temperance coming up in the middle is pretty significant. It's saying it's not the right time. Your man recently lost his daughter on February 26th, so this has completely changed our plans. Oh, I'm so sorry to hear that. I got your email. That was you. And Temperance is about healing. Temperance is about, it's like, I always say this, but this is like the crock pot card, right? So it's like when you're putting everything into the crock pot, you just want to leave it alone. You don't open it. You don't add stuff to it. Like it literally does not become ready until it's sat for X amount of time. As a confirmation, I do feel like there's going to be other opportunities. I just wanted to get this card just to make sure. I get the Page of Swords. I do feel like it's like almost as if you're iffy about even talking about this, because the Five of Swords is like, do I say something? Do I not? You know, am I going to rock the boat if I say something? Should I do it? Should I not? I would say, going off the cards, I don't think it's the right time. And there will be other opportunities, right? That is going to happen. I also think about, you know, as you start to see transits that are moving more so over the summertime, being a Scorpio rising, Venus is going to go retrograde in your 10th house. Okay, so that can be opportunities come back, they return to you, right? Venus rules the 7th. So maybe you let them know, hey, I would love to personally, and for, you know, my family right now, it's not the best timing. Is there an opportunity, you know, in the future? Can we touch base later in this year? Will you consider me? Because even if this didn't happen, I personally still don't think it would be a great time for you to go, because it does seem like there's going to be some challenges, and I don't think it would go as smooth as you think. It's been very back and forth with, do I say it or do I not? Yeah. And I also feel, because this is talking about the state of healing right now with the Temperance card, that there can be a sense of you being like, I don't even want to talk about it and bring it up and make it seem like I'm taking away from this other thing that's going on in his life or in our life, right? And not wanting to rock the boat. There's going to be another opportunity for Scorpio risings. That Venus retrograde that's happening July, August is literally about somebody coming back and saying, hey, you know, can we work together again? Can we try again? Is now a better time? And your 10th house represents your partner's 4th house. So maybe by then he's a little bit more so ready, right? Like emotionally to also be talking to you about that back and forth, or maybe even like moving, right? If that's something that you guys are open to talking to together. But it may not be the right time at the moment. And I'm sorry, that's challenging. Saturn, you know, going into your whole sign 5th house is talking about challenges relating to children. Even if it's not your child, 5th house is lover, so them going through that. And, you know, the Saturn Neptune stuff that's going to be happening may materialize as a situation where somebody is, you know, involved with somebody who's going through grief or suffering, right? Or pain relating to a child. So feeling like you have that opportunity for togetherness, especially as you start seeing Saturn sextile Jupiter, I do feel like from a Placidus perspective, you're going to have plenty of work where you're at now. From a whole sign perspective, you're going to see more so, you know, over the summertime that there's more opportunity for not only you to touch base with these people, but I think it's going to be more about focusing on the relationship. Sorry, I'm trying to keep up with the chat. I just know he's not in a good place and very stuck wanting to care for him, myself, and my partner. Yeah. Well, the Temperance card is saying that there is a need to be able to assess, not just assess the situation, but slow down. This is saying slow down. There is a way for you to be able to do both right now, and it may be that taking care of you is actually staying and not leaving. Okay, guys, I'm gonna 2 more minutes and I'm going to close the donations for the sign up for the queue. Oh, well, thank you, Kayla. I appreciate it. It's nice to have like feedback from you guys, you know, because it's one thing if I'm having a reading with like a client on the phone or something and I can see them on Zoom or I can hear their voice, but I'm talking into a camera and just reading a chat room. So I appreciate that. Thank you very much. And keep me updated on what happens. Because I do think that it's going to probably take an interesting turn over the summertime. Healing for you both. Temperance is a great time to really focus on doing something to move the energies around in the body. So like Reiki, massage, anything like that for either one of you, right? Can be really helpful. Okay, we've got Vanessa. What's up, Vanessa? Are you here? And then Miss V, and then Lee. Hey Candace, I'm in the middle of a dispute with my child's father. My child does not want to visit their dad. Our kid's 14. The dad is saying it's not about what they want, too damn bad. My child is now coming to terms with the type of man he is. He's showing his true colors. What can I do spiritually to protect us from him or make him just go away? He's extremely pushy and aggressive and manipulative. Will he stop and back off on his own? What am I up against? Is there anybody I should be cautious of? I do not trust him and his family. Practice magic. Yeah, invest in some mirrors. You can put a mirror by your front door. It doesn't have to be big. It can just even be like a flat mirrored panel. Find somewhere where the front of the house, take the mirror and put it facing the front of the house. Just energetically, that's going to deflect stuff. I know it sounds weird, but it works. It's going to deflect stuff from the house. And you may also want to do some stuff to feel like you're protecting your boundaries better, right? So for some of you guys, it's like, you know, having just salt around the perimeter of the home. For other people, it's having like a little symbol or sigil or something that protects the space, maybe an evil eye. Let's take a look. What we need to know about that. That's a difficult one. 14. So 14 is your daughter's Saturn opposition, and Saturn does rule older people, so it can be like father figures, it can be superiors, like bosses and things like that. So there's no coincidence that right around the time you're 13 to 15, you have your Saturn opposition, and we have issues with authority, right? It's That's normal. Wow. Okay. So these are the first two cards that come up. The Judgment card and the Seven of Swords. There we go. Judgment card, Seven of Swords, and the Moon card. So like, okay, you've been getting readings from me for how many years? It's probably been what? At least 7 years, maybe 8 years. You know that I don't like tell you things. Like everybody's seen like that movie where you go and see the tarot reader and she's like this old lady with like crushed velvet and the cats and the crystal ball, and she's just like pulling the death card and she's like, someone's gonna die, and they're very cryptic. It's people like that give us a bad name, okay? I'm not that type of reader. That's what I'm getting at. I'm not somebody who's gonna, blow smoke up your ass and like freak you out. But like there is some stuff here to be mindful of. Probably the two cards that come up if I'm like, oh, there's some shady shit going on, or like there's some reason not to trust, or there could be something happening behind the scenes, would be Seven of Swords or the Moon. You saw me shuffle the deck. Both of those cards jumped out. They made themselves very well known. You've got the Seven of Swords sandwiched between the Judgment card and the Moon card. So, the Judgment card coming up, there is a sense of, okay, it's time to finally acknowledge the elephant in the room, or it's time to really let the kid have her say, or it's time to let her make her own decision. Literally, judgment can be about a judgment. It can mean that, okay, if the kid doesn't want to go, then you guys decide, maybe we're gonna leave it up to her. And if he says, okay, well, I have custody, you may have to let the kid make a decision, right? That may happen. The Judgment card's also about whatever was ultimately going to come out, or whatever was ultimately going to be seen is being seen. So if you've been the mom that's like, okay, dad's not the easiest to deal with, but I'm not going to trash talk dad. I'm just going to let her figure it out when she gets older and make her own decision. This is that time where she makes her own decision. Now, the Seven of Swords is about shady shit. It's about not being able to trust something or someone or somebody being up to some sneaky things. So that means that when you're dealing with the situation with him, is it possible that those things are happening? Yes, it is possible that there are. You don't need to burn somebody's hair or a black candle or do things for somebody to get hit with some bad vibes, right? You can get energetically slimed because somebody is jealous, they're envious, they're angry, right? So you want to kind of get to the point where if you're not, if you don't want to continue this, focus on being able to neutralize some of that energy. If you guys aren't getting along, don't waste your energy hating them. Either just wish them peace or far away, or wish that they, find some assistance, but don't continue that cycle. Because, it's subconscious. The Moon card coming up is saying that there is a sense, I think, of him associating any problems he's having with the kid automatically with you, because this is a feminine card. So in his mind, it might be like, well, I'm having issues with my daughter and you must be creating these problems. And so because, you're not standing up and getting involved, it must be your fault. And then it's like that, you will start having either attacks, or you'll start having emotional issues that will be happening as a result of this negative energy, okay? It could be in your sleep, because the moon can be dreaming and having issues with, bedtime. It could also mean that there's some emotional fluctuations and things that are happening. It can also talk about things that people are doing at night in the dark. The Moon card is also generally associated with women. So if you know that he's got women in his family that are sometimes up to no good, I would say don't assume, just be energetically prepared. And this also says that it would be really beneficial for you to find a way to protect your home. The moon can literally talk about your home space, your subconscious, not letting him in your subconscious, not letting him invade that. So if he's constantly calling and reaching out and doing things and he's not getting the response that he likes, he may result in doing some underhanded things. I did want to look at the bottom of the deck just to see what's going on, just to get some confirmation. Thankfully, I got the Four of Wands. So this tells me a couple things. One is that this is a temporary thing. I don't think that this is going to happen forever. Can it be the beginning of potentially, him realizing that he's not just going to be able to pull his, same antics anymore, maybe. But I do think that they're going to end up seeing each other and spending some time together. Maybe, 4 weeks or a month-ish before that happens. Likely there may be a birthday, a party, a gathering, a get-together, something where it's like she could go where there's other people. It's not just her and hanging out with her dad. It would be other people being there, kind of as an icebreaker. So she's not going to be by herself. But I do think that, like you said, not trashing dad, but if this is how he's going to be, inevitably at some point she's going to see it. So you do have to let her make her own decision. He can't force her to do anything, but he can be up to some underhanded things. I also feel like I would be very careful because the Seven of Swords can be somebody who says things or suggests that you did things that you never did, right? So it could be somebody who says, well, she said this, or she signed that, or she promised this. Watch for that, because there can be a sense of literally manipulating agreements or words. And the Moon card is about liquid and water. So I would say something else you can do is sweep or vacuum the house from the back all the way out the front. And I would say maybe do this right before the new moon. There's a new moon coming in like 2 weeks. Clear everything out from the back to the front and then wash the floors. And when you're done washing the floors, dump everything out, like down the sidewalk. Go all the way out to the front of the house, or if you have an apartment, the front street, dump it out in the street. Just clear all of the energy out and focus on being able to energetically protect your space at night. So before you go to bed, make sure that you just say a little, this is our space, nothing can come in here. Whatever you want to do to energetically protect the space, start doing that. You can do a freezer spell, just things that have to do with liquid, right? So you can do stuff with liquid. That's an easy kind of neutral thing to do. Just write their name down, write it on a piece of paper, wrap it up in foil, throw it in liquid, and put it in the freezer. But stuff that you would want to do at night, which is representing clearing the subconscious and protecting the home and the home space. And be very careful, if it's really going to get to a point where there's going to be some he said, she said, which is what I think is going to take place, find a way to be able to communicate and go back and forth and document everything. So it's not just via over the phone. It might be a matter of being you know what, we need to go back and forth either over text or it needs to be over email, because calling and harassing me and harassing her is not going to fix things. So there's a way to communicate, but we need to be communicating where there is a paper trail. Yeah, I don't see anybody getting hurt. I don't see anything like that happening, but it is seeping into your subconscious and it is going to create some issues, especially being able to keep peace within the home. And he should know that that's not necessarily going to incentivize her and make her want to come back, right? And I do think this is going to happen again, because the Judgment card is saying it's time for her to see now. So if she's 14, she's got Saturn either in Leo or she's got Saturn in Virgo, depending on her placements, right? And no offense, but I've seen her dad's chart, so. No, you're fine. Magically, you're fine. Nothing's going to happen here. But I would focus on being able to protect your space and don't allow him to kind of energetically invade. You know what I'm saying? You can protect your space. There's no issues here. There's nothing that's coming up that's saying that you need to be worried in a sense of it having an impact. I'm more concerned that he's got, free rent in your head right now, and he does not belong there. Just clean up the house and do your work at night. And if you have to do any protection work, you want to do it on Saturday nights. Hopefully that's helpful. Let me know what happens. Readings are now closed, my friends. Okay, so let's see who we got in here. Okay. So we've got Miss V, Lee, Rebecca, Austin. What's up, Miss V? She says, 3-card reading. What is the message for me on my career? Let's take a look. Ooh. All right, so we've got 4 of Swords, 2 of Coins, 7 of Wands, What's going on? Why does it seem like you got your hands full here? Was there a sense of like going from a period of either not working as much or having a slower kind of schedule, or maybe there was a sense of like reflecting on things or deciding about making moves professionally, and now there's like weighing your options or feeling like you have to, you know, like stay on top of things? Four of Swords, rest, recuperation, reflection, letting go of something, you know, walking away from something, thinking about something before making a decision, feeling like you're unable to make any moves, feeling stuck, right? That's the past, but that's where you've been, or, you know, feeling like I just need to focus on security. It's funny, I'm looking at my bookshelf. I have the same card up for me for today. Whenever this card comes up, it sometimes talks about just feeling stuck, not stagnant, but being like, I can't make a decision in the state that I'm in right now. This is gonna have to wait, right? So then we've got Two of Coins, which literally represents two options, or weighing your options, or feeling overwhelmed, or now that you're back in the game, it's being like, oh my goodness, I'm trying to juggle all of this stuff at one time. Maybe it's just about being able to keep up, especially if you're like in a new position, or you're training, or you're still kind of getting the swing of things, like feeling comfortable doing the job that you're doing. But equally, sometimes this card comes up where somebody goes, do I like this, or do I want to do something else? Do I stay, or do I go? Do I want to, you know, try to see if I can get more money elsewhere? What's going on? Okay, so you're questioning whether or not you stay independent or you take a paying job. Here's my perspective on this. Seven of Wands is talking about standing your ground. So if you made the decision to be like, I'm going to be independent, I'm going to try to hold my own, I like the freedom. I also like the fact that it may be a little bit more challenging for you, right? Even if you're doing the same job, I think maybe working independently versus doing something that's just kind of monotonous, and it can feel boring, or it can feel as if there's no real growth, or there's no room to grow when you're in one position. Now the Seven of Wands is like saying, no, I committed to this, I'm gonna stay here. Like, I'm gonna keep pushing. And the Page of Wands is confirming that. This was the bottom part of the deck. So that Page of Wands is basically saying like, look, you know, whether you decided recently to go independent, or this is something you've been doing for a while, it does seem like that is going to continue to grow. It looks like you're going to be looking at, might even be like new tools that you're adding to your toolbox. The Page of Wands is like, you know, what can I add onto my list of capabilities, or, you know, techniques or trainings or other things that's going to enhance and give me more diversity, right? Because this is about having fun. This is about being creative. This is about learning something new, something else that you're bringing in. And also it's saying there's still a lot of room for growth. Pages are children. It represents like a little seed that's been planted and it's starting to kind of expand. So with the Seven of Wands coming up in the Page of Wands, I feel like you're gonna have more freedom. You're gonna be able to collect a more competitive pay, because Seven of Wands is about competition. And I think once you're in a position where you're working for another person, there is no competitive edge because you're working for someone else. If you're working for yourself, it's really hard. But the more that you keep pushing, doing what you're doing for yourself, being at the top of your game and the best of the best, I do think that that's going to give you an edge on the market. And you're going to see that you have the opportunity to go, yeah, I could take a consistent paycheck, or I could do it myself, and I could potentially make 2 or 3 times the amount of money, depending on how much action and work that you put into it. Just became a permanent makeup artist certified. Well, I mean, from somebody who's been in the situation of being like, do I work for myself or do I work for other people? Like when I started doing my business, I decided automatically, I was like, I want to work for myself. I don't want to work for anybody else. And I did it for about a year until I was like, I have so much work and I need a space and I need to grow, that I saw the potential of being able to go and work for other people. And it was really great because there was more clientele. There was obviously more foot traffic. I was able to kind of like really connect with people who were looking for my services. But there was like that itch that was like, no, you're still gonna end up doing this for yourself. So it took a couple of years before I finally made that transition. But from somebody who's done it to somebody who's just starting, even though you're in a different field, there's nothing wrong with potentially having the opportunity to say, hey, if I decide I want to work a day or so a week with other people, I can, but don't lose your independence. Stay on top of your game with that 7 of Wands. Don't drop the ball, and really focus on other ways that you can be able to get yourself out there and continue to keep challenging yourself, because I definitely think that there's something else that's coming. If you've just completed training, great, but there's probably going to be other things that you're going to do where you're going to be like, now I want to learn to do this and now I want to learn to do that. And it's going to give you more dimensions to what you're doing for your own personal business. But you don't need to make a decision quite yet. And I feel like if you do take on a second thing, it can be overwhelming, because you could be like, okay, I'm working this, schedule for another person, and I want to be able to take clients whenever, clients pop in for me, but you may be limited. And then you're running the risk of having too much work when the money should be coming to you, right? Hopefully that's confirmation. What's up, Kayla? I'm sorry. We did close them. I hope you're doing well. How do you feel now that Saturn left Aquarius? All right, so we've got Lee, and then Rebecca, Austin, and Mr. Jeffrey. What's up, Lee? Are you watching? Okay, Kayla, if you want to sneak in, I'll let you sneak in. I know I haven't talked to you for a while. Let me know. You can catch the link. It's somewhere there. Good luck, Miss V. Congrats on your own personal hustle. What's up, Sam? I'm good. How are you? Let's take a look and see what the cards say for Lee. And Rebecca and Austin, you guys are on deck. You guys are not going to believe what card popped up again. Mr. Page of Wands. Page of Wands, 3 of Swords, 8 of Wands. Oh, this is like okay, well, it's hurting, but we got to keep it moving. Yes, it hurts, but we can't get stuck there. Page of Wands. Action, taking chances, making changes, focusing on being able to find the positive in a situation, being able to, I don't know. I could see this as possibly quick actions or things that happened that were very spur of the moment, prompted some kind of heartbreak, right? Or you weren't anticipating that something was going to be so difficult, or you weren't anticipating that something was going to fall apart, or that someone was going to break your heart, or that some unexpected event was going to pop up. But to me, it seems more like a speed bump. I know that sounds weird. But the three of Swords is one of the more challenging cards in the deck. This comes up when there's a sense of disappointment. And obviously, just looking at the photo, it's a little gnarly. This talks about having to remove the swords from the heart and that whole process of healing and like actually releasing yourself from pain. Mobility seems to be a big thing here with the 8 of Wands coming up. So like I said, to me, it says keep it moving. Don't slow down. Keep going. Like if you're finally turning over a new leaf and you're working your way out of grief or working your way out of disappointment, or maybe you've had some things that went a little sideways, it's important to stay on task and not allow yourself to fall back into feeling stuck, right? And the 8 of Wands does talk about physical fitness, energy, movement, shifting things around, moving things. It's like, okay, just because it creeps back up a little bit, it's like, like breakups, heartbreaks, disappointments, loss, grief. It sucks because it comes in waves. Like there's no handbook for that. There's nothing that tells you, hey, okay, you guys were together for 3 years, so this is how long it's going to take you to get over it, and then you're over it. Like it's not linear. You get what I'm saying? And so what I like about the Page of Wands is that it does talk about learning new ways to be able to deal with grief or disappointment, and being willing to kind of like jump in and actively participate in the healing and acknowledging when some of this stuff comes up, but not allowing it to totally sideline you. Equally, it might be that through the process of disappointment or pain that you're learning new techniques, right? So maybe you're learning tapping, maybe you're learning breath work, maybe you're learning about how pain and trauma manifest in the body. So you're stretching, because this is very active, it's mobile, it's fire. I also think that this can be about working with infrared or sunshine or anything that's going to kind of get your blood pressure up, or, you know, circulation going, hot herbs, hot showers, things like that. That's really going to kind of clear some of this stuff away. This can even be like some seasonal stuff that's going on, right? The Three of Swords can talk about kind of feeling like in a funk, and you're like, no, I'm not going to fall back into that funk. I'm going to keep things moving. And then the Eight of Wands is saying it's going to shift very quickly, right? That there's going to be some shifts that are going to be happening very quickly. And being able to, you know, allow yourself to acknowledge some of the stuff, but keep it moving and don't backtrack. Yeah, and I like that the Eight of Wands is also kind of saying like, we're moving away from this. Notice how the wands are moving away from it. So you're learning that it's okay to have some stormy weather, right? But you're not going to allow yourself to completely just fall into that pit. So it looks like you're making progress with the healing. And as confirmation, Five of Wands is basically saying that maybe you're learning that things take a little bit more time and effort to kind of work through. Or maybe it's about acknowledging stuff that's happened in the past that you didn't realize you were kind of carrying around with you. Yeah, shadow work. Yeah, definitely. You've got all this fire that's surrounding the Three of Swords. So it's basically saying like, what do you do with anger and frustration, or, you know, pent up fear or anything, right? Resentment, hello. And learning how to kind of move through that and where that comes from, and that it's okay to be able to have these feelings. I mean, fire can represent anger, honestly, and the effect that it has on you emotionally, and realizing that at the core of that, there's some anger, there's some frustration that you're still working through, and what you do with it. And you could use that as motivation. You could use some of these negative feelings as motivation to kind of get to where you want to go, and this awareness that you don't want to hold on to it. But the Five of Wands is interesting because it does suggest that maybe you've been fighting acknowledging some of this stuff, right? Maybe you've been fighting it a little bit, and like now it's starting to kind of come up, and you're like, let me just like deal with it and not shame myself or feel bad about the fact that I have to acknowledge these things, or that these feelings reside within me, right? But yeah, I would say all that fire surrounding the Three of Swords is, sure, we can call it shadow work. I would say it might even be like you needing to take a boxing lesson, or like really getting that frustration out and like acknowledging it. That seems to be the big theme. Oh, well, the good news is that it looks like the pain is sick of you too. You guys are going through a mutual breakup. It's about moving it out of your body. And the Three of Swords is painful, but it's more painful to hold on to. Sending you lots of good healing vibes. Okay, so we've got Rebecca, and then Austin and Mr. Jeffrey. Rebecca says, this is just a thank you for all that you do, and you're so helpful with your content. Much appreciated. I hope you reach above and beyond. Is Rebecca here? I think that was just a donation, but thank you. Are you here? Maybe? Let me know. Because if you are, I'd like to pull a card for you. Let's see if she responds. Austin. Oh, well, I still want to give you a card though. Thank you, I appreciate you. Let's see what the cards say. February was extremely rough. What is your sun, moon, and rising? This has to be a joke. You guys have seen some of the lives, right? Where like the same card comes up over and over and over and over and over again. Sometimes that happens, right? That just happened. Moving through it, we're moving through it, we're moving through it. This is like so Jupiter and Aries. And I think you guys are really going to see this when that shift happens from Pisces into Aries, okay? If you guys saw me put the Aries moon video out, it's early, but whatever. You guys are gonna find that the shift that happens from like next week to the third week of March is absolutely insane. Mars is still in a square with Neptune. We're in our feelings, we're confused. We're going to have the sun, we're going to have Mercury and Neptune all align, right? So we're in our feelings, and it's all going to square Mars. And then it's going to be like, boom, here's Aries season, new moon, Jupiter's in Aries. It's like, okay, so that happened. We got to move on. And it sounds insensitive, but like that's kind of how Aries energy is. It's like we don't have time for all this like sad shit. It's basically just going to like cannonball you into the next thing. So for you, I think that the good news is that the change is coming. What's up, Patrick? So you're Aquarius, Sun, Libra, Moon, Libra rising. Is that correct? Or is that your ascendant first? With you having a lot of Libra and Aquarius, the fact that Pluto's going into Aquarius and the fact that like Saturn is like now out of your whole sign fifth. Oh, okay. Okay, so Sun, Moon, rising. Pluto's going into your chart, into your ascendant. And Sun and Moon being in Libra in your ninth. These are great transits for you. I would just say embrace the crisis, as much as I know that sounds horrible. And with that Eight of Wands, it's saying at least it's going to keep things moving. It's going to keep things interesting. And then the Two of Coins is also saying maybe it's going to open up more avenues for you to start reassessing things and being like, do I really need this in my life? Right? Do I really need this in my life? Or can I just move on? You know, for Libra, Pluto's going into their whole sign fifth. And if that happens to be your ascendant, it's really important to be asking yourself, do I love this? Right? And if it's not bringing me happiness, then it's not for me. And if it's like not 100% yes, then it's like that's a hard no. It's going to be a hard pass. And all that air in your chart, it's very mental. It's very cerebral. It's very much like once you make that decision to go, that's done, we're over, we're moving forward, it's not bringing me joy, things get so much lighter. Does that make sense? Thank you, Kayla, I got you. It's gonna get much, much, much lighter. That's the good news that I have for you. So instead of looking at it as like a situation where things are falling apart, start asking yourself, do I hold on to this? Do I move on, right? And Pluto transits are going to require you to burn some things to the ground, right? And Pluto rules your 10th house. It's about old identities. So it's like, okay, my job is changing. My identity is changing. I don't have any control over it. So like, just might as well just say, fuck it. Just reinvent yourself. At least it'll be entertaining. Tough time health-wise. Well, Aquarius, right, has connections to Uranus, which is the nervous system. So I would say with the Pluto transit, look into like anything you can do where you're really focusing on shifting the air around you. Aquarius is also frequency. So it might be good for you to look into like some binaural beats, some frequency healing, right? You can find all that stuff on YouTube. Put in some headphones and listen to it. It's going to really shift things for you because you have to be thinking about stuff more in a invisible frequency kind of air type healing way. That'll help you move through some of the shifts. From one Libra rising to the other, it's been real. I hope it gets better. Sending you lots of good healing vibes. I got you, Kayla. Thank you. Okay, so we've got Austin. What's up, Austin? Hey, Candace, I hope you've been well. I met that younger person the day that Saturn entered Pisces. The mental connection was almost instantaneous, and I'm a bit overwhelmed by the connection. What is the potential between her and I? Austin's back in the game now. He's back in the streets. Let's take a look. Let's see. As soon as Saturn goes into Pisces, you know, the fifth house, right? The fifth house is about true love. So even though Saturn in the fifth house is not always the easiest transit, I have seen so many people tell me like, oh, I met the love of my life. And I'm like, yeah, just give it 2.5 years. Just give it 2.5 years. See if it stays. Oh my God. How is it that you find somebody so perfect so quickly? And you know I'm not like the most, you know, I'm not going to sit here and chain smoke cigarettes and tell you that it's your twin flame like other people on YouTube, although I'd love to do that. That sounds amazing. We've got the Queen of Pentacles, the Ace of Cups, and the King of Pentacles. Need I say more? So first of all, a king and a queen are a pair. Okay, so they're a pair. So when somebody's asking me a question about a potential love interest or relationship, and I pull two cards that are a king and a queen of the same suit, I'm going to be like, well, you guys are kind of a match, right? And then sandwiched between, we see the Ace of Cups. So it's interesting when you've got two people that are focusing, I think, on themselves. That's what's going on. It's not like you've got the Knight of Cups and the Queen of Cups or the Lover's card and the Ace of Cups. Like, no, this is two people who are like, I'm doing the work, right? Pentacles. I'm doing the work. So if you've been focusing on your health, your finances, getting grounded, getting stable, really building yourself up and doing that work, here comes along somebody who's equally doing the same thing. Maybe you guys have similar views on relationships, on values, on what you're looking for in terms of your professional life, your long-term goals, your planning in general. There is a sense of something really being in alignment between the two of you. And then that Ace of Cups coming up is saying that it's a potential for new romance, new relationships. It's just the start. It's just the beginning, right? We know that the next card is the Two of Cups, which does talk about relationship and coming together and celebrating and being in that union. So it is saying that over like the next month or so, there is that sense of kind of feeling it out, but it's like, this is a very, very strong spread. Especially when it's saying that maybe this is like the relationship that you get after having done the work. So if you're saying Saturn went into your 5th, you're Scorpio rising, right? So for Scorpio risings, you got to think Saturn going into your 5th house is going to have you focus on communicating, because Saturn rules your 3rd, communicating and expressing what you love and what you're looking for in relationships and being able to express commitment a little bit better. We're also going to see Saturn in the 5th house making sextiles, right? It's going to be making sextiles to, or 4th, it's going to make sextiles to Jupiter going into your 7th house at some point. I found her looking at particular astrology placements on AstroSeek. Thank you so much for mentioning a Sabian symbol. Cool. I'm glad you like it. But also the Mars retrograde too, right? You've had that Mars retrograde that's been taking place in your 7th. So sometimes in the tail end of that, people show up. Even though it's been direct, it hasn't come out of the shadow energy. But essentially, yes, you get my stamp of approval. I do think both of you guys have at least similar perspectives in terms of what you're looking for life-wise. This isn't like the most goo-goo gaga romantic connection with this suit. It's very grounded, very practical, very mature, but you've got the Ace of Cups in the middle. So it does seem a little bit sweeter, a little bit more loving, and definitely a really solid opportunity to find like true love and harmony in relationship with another person. So come back, let me know how it goes. What does she do? She seems, if she's Queen of Coins, she's pretty self-sufficient. This is somebody who's definitely kind of got life worked out a bit. What's up, Wendy? Happy Friday. Mr. Jeffrey, then Brandon, Rosa, Malaya, Ann, and Kayla. I got you all. She's a boxer. I like that. Mars in your 7th and you meet a boxer. Get out of here. Get out of here. Studying criminal justice. I love that. Okay, so for Mr. Jeffrey, what do I need to know right now? I'm familiar with the majority of the astrology for the year. I'm calling in my abundance, even with Saturn in the 2nd. What am I calling in? Love, Gertie. It's so funny because you get that, you call me Gertie from E.T., right? Is that what that's from? I'm assuming. So what do you need to know? What are you calling in? Well, it's funny that you mention, yeah, ET, yeah. It's funny that you mention Saturn, and then here is this old devil that pops up for you. The card of the day is the Four of Swords. It's been brought to you by the Four of Swords, like Sesame Street. Four of Swords, the devil, the Three of Wands. Well, I think that there's like this sense of being like, and correct me if I'm wrong, did you feel like last year there was this sense of being like, okay, when are things going to start? When are things going to start? When are things going to start? Because the Four of Swords being in this position is like stalling, right? Taking time, not intentionally, but feeling like it wasn't the time yet, or that you couldn't make any moves, or that there was a sense of you realizing that before other things began this year, you needed to rest, recuperate. There needed to be more downtime. There was a lot of reflecting on things, and also realizing that maybe you needed to work through something, right? Health-wise, or you needed more downtime, or you had more downtime to like reflect on what moves you do want to make. Whether you chose that or not, it looks like you may not have felt like you had a lot of a choice in the matter. Here we have the devil, and the devil is a card that is associated with Saturn. So you're talking about Saturn being in your second house, right? And the devil talks about limitation, boundaries, feeling stuck, not being able to move, acknowledging. I mean, Saturn transits, if you just acknowledge that that energy is there, that changes everything. Because then you don't look at it as, oh, you're taking away from me, you're limiting, you're denying. It's, you want me to mature in this way. You want me to focus on X, Y, Z, whatever. And as Saturn moves through your second house, right, there is this sense also of like really focusing on, what do I value, right? Do I need to have the brand new truck in the driveway? Do I need to have the expensive watch? Do I need to feel like I have all of these things? Because there is a sense maybe of some freedom when you reassess your financial situation and go, I don't need these things because it's actually going to tether me and it's going to bind me. And it's not going to give me the life that I want, so I'm willing to do without it. And I'm not going to take the bait because it's going to give me more freedom. So I'm wondering if what's happened here is there's been this sense of you going, no, I'm willing to deal with less. And, you know, dealing with less is giving you more opportunity to decide where it is that you want to go. So you're not as tied down. Just reading this. Yes, I was on vacation. Sitting in anxiety, I learned that I don't like money. I don't like money not coming in. That's what I learned about insecurity, lack mentality. I also just got home and landed on the couch. Perfect timing for my reading. So the good news is that, you know, right now that devil is coming up. So it's saying, hey, am I still going to be able to scare you? Am I still going to be able to get a reaction out of you? Are you still going to look at this as a lack mindset? Are you going to feel like you don't have enough? Saturn in the second taught me with that transit that you're only going to be, you know, paid what you think you're worth. So if there is this mindset that's like, well, I'm not going to get it, so what's the point? Yeah, you're going to miss 99.9% of the chances you don't take, actually all of them. Because there is this sense of having to put yourself out there and go, no, I'm worth more than this. I'm not just going to take the minimum wage job, or I'm going to expect more of myself. I'm going to push myself harder, and I'm going to make some adjustments in the budget. When Saturn leaves, there's generally like a really good sense of self-awareness and also like clarity in terms of what you bring to the table. Three of Wands is saying that it's also giving you the opportunity to figure out where it is you want to go. So maybe it's about moving away from that, being like, okay, what did that teach me? Okay, great. So now how do I kind of take that and move forward and begin to plan for the future? Three of Wands can be travel, right? It can be going to new places. It can be learning new things. It can be new experiences. It can be getting outside of your comfort zone. It can also be about you focusing on having shorter goals. So instead of getting overwhelmed, being like, I need to have this amount of money in the bank, or I need to be able to, you know, launch this business, or I need to be able to lose X amount of like weight, whatever the goal is. It's not looking at the end and getting overwhelmed with the end. It's focusing on smaller goals and smaller steps moving forward. So it's just getting started. You know, they say like the journey of a 1,000 miles starts with a single step. That's literally the Three of Wands. So it's like, just get going. Just get started with something. And I think that this is also about keeping what's happened with Saturn, I'm not going to say on your mind, right? but it's definitely in the rearview mirror. So you know that if you just reflect back, you know, okay, that's how difficult things got. I'm not going back there, but I'm going to use that experience to kind of launch me forward. Yeah. Yep. Yeah, and you know, I think this is going to bring opportunities still for moves and relocation. I would say you may be where you are now, but like, don't get comfortable. Because I do think with that Three of Wands coming up, you are looking like you're going to be off to the next adventure soon. Could be a couple months, but I do think that you're going to be on to the next thing. And I also feel like this is teaching you how to be able to think on your feet, right? If there has been a sense of kind of moving around a little bit. Just get started. The New Year's popping in a couple weeks. I'm back to contracting and opening new locations. So yeah, I mean, look at this. This is going to be happening very, very, very soon. If Saturn just moved into your second house, you're in Aquarius rising. So you know there's going to be a Mercury retrograde in your fourth, right? In April, May. You know that there's eclipses coming in May. So literally right around 3 months from now, that's when things are going to be like really cracking. And I think it's going to be exciting possibly to have the opportunity to kind of be mobile for a little bit, because the Three of Wands feels like, okay, I can go do this for a little bit and then figure out the next step, right? And you'll actually really enjoy seeing Saturn in your second and see it sextiling planets in your fourth. Like when I had Saturn going through my second house, I had a bunch of planets in my fourth house. And the back and forth of it was really great because it was helping me stabilize, right? Everything going on in my fourth house. So you might make more money. That's going to help you feel like you have more security when it comes to your home base, and possibly even give you the financial means or the experience necessary to feel like you can be paying rent, paying a mortgage, buying something, and having a little bit more stability, signing a lease, all that stuff. Pulled out of my comfort zone last month, relearning how to do things I did back in the mid-2000s, but I can still hack it. I like that. That's great. Just focus on where you're moving forward, and be appreciative of Saturn. Believe it or not, giving Saturn a little appreciation on a Saturday will go a long way. There's a reason why I work on Saturdays. I have worked on Saturdays pretty much for like the last 8 years, and it's just because I have so many planets in Saturn. That's really the only reason why I do it. So many planets in Capricorn, excuse me. Good luck. Keep us updated on what's happening. I love the spreadsheet. That's so great. Because with Saturn and Pisces in the second house, like you can have a bunch of subscriptions, and then you have a high, expense pot habit. You're eating all kinds of snacks, and you got a bunch of like different trials on things, and just money disappears with Saturn and Pisces in the second house. So having clarity is definitely really helpful. Good luck. What's up, Brandon? Brandon says, card for my solar return this year. It'll be June 3rd. It's a Leo rising with Sun in the 11th house. So it tells me you're going to have lots of fun this year, focusing on being with your friends, partying. Jupiter conjunct the North Node and MC in the 10th house. Taurus and Uranus in the 10th too. I'm excited to see what happens for you. What's up, Brandon? Let's see what the cards say for this solar return for you, my dude. Ooh. The moon makes another appearance. Correct me if I'm wrong, but don't you have Saturn getting ready to go into your 12th house? The moon card talks about following your intuition and your guidance. It might be a time that you really start tracking and like following the lunar transits. It might be talking also about the eclipse periods, home, private life, your subconscious, journeying. I thought so. The moon card reminds me a lot of the 12th house, right? Even though the moon has its connections with Cancer, really that's the Chariot. So the moon card talks about all the things that happen when we're sleeping, when we're meditating, when we're in altered states, when we're in foreign places, right? And it's about following those hunches, following those instincts. Yes, there can be some things that kind of get a little suspicious. That can be a little spooky in the dark, but what I like about the towers and the moon kind of highlighting and illuminating the background is it's basically saying like you're using that for guidance, right? The light of the moon to be able to determine and decipher what is and is not safe, right? So as you're walking along that path in the middle of the night, you can't see anything, but you're hearing sounds, and there's all kinds of creepy stuff out there, and there's some water and some puddles, and obviously some lobsters, even though I'm convinced that's a scorpion, but whatever. That, you know, could potentially be dangerous, but you're averting danger by listening to your intuition and also following the guidance of the moon. So there may be more of a need to really pay attention to your meditations, dream symbolism, things that are coming up like gut hunches and visions, because that may be the only way to move forward, right? And Saturn in your 12th house is going to teach you that you may have way more clarity in a 15-minute daily meditation than you're going to get by having a conversation with somebody or watching the news or anything like that. That following that inner guidance, following that inner voice, especially knowing that for you, that means that Cancer has some tie to your 4th house, right? So there is some sense of basically looking at things and being like, okay, you know, I do need to kind of listen to my intuition in terms of where I'm living, where my roots should be, whether or not I go back home, whether or not I stay in one place. All of these things are going to be up for reevaluation over the next couple of years. You know, if you've got Saturn in your 12th house for several years, it's a time to really think about, do I go back to school? Do I go through some kind of training? Do I focus on being able to learn more about psychology and therapy or secret teachings or shamanism? I mean, stuff like that's going to come up. And it may take you to some places that might be uncomfortable, like mentally, psychologically, spiritually. It may be something interesting. You might want to start experimenting with like meditating in the dark, you know, getting comfortable with that. Oh, your South Node's there too. Okay. And really working with that energy and maybe doing work revolving around the lunar cycles, particularly the full moon. But the moon in general goes through cycles, but the full moon might be something that you notice there's a little bit more action, right? Especially because you're going to be having eclipses that are definitely going to be setting that off still over the next couple of years. And really pay attention to the summertime. You know, the moon is going to talk more about what's going on in like June, July, Cancer kind of season. And yeah, where that may lead you and where you potentially find that listening to your intuition is going to give you some sense of not just clarity, but security. It's about security. Good luck. That's a fun one. And an 11th house year in a solar return is going to give you so many opportunities to celebrate and be with other people and go to parties and network. That's a really fun solar placement. Happy early birthday. I'm sure I will talk to you at some point between now and then. I've got Rosa, Malaya Ann, and Kayla. So Rosa says, love reading, Taurus sun and rising, Pisces moon. And you've got somebody you're in a relationship with who's a Virgo sun, Libra rising, Pisces moon. 2 Pisces moons together. Taurus sun and rising and a Pisces moon. That's a nice combination. Let's take a look. Virgo sun, Libra rising. How was that Virgo on the full moon? Did he get weird? Because he was born under a full moon? If he's a Virgo sun? And if you're a Taurus rising, then yeah, definitely craziness with your partners with those eclipses coming in. So be mindful of that. Oh, you got weird. Okay. Let's take a look. Let's take a look. Yeah, full moon's in opposition to your natal moon. Not the easiest. All right, so let's take a look at what Rosa needs to know about her love life. Yeah, I was gonna say, you guys are both Pisces moons. Do you? How many bathtubs do you have in your house? The Hierophant, the King of Pentacles, and the Page of Wands. Yeah, you could say that. So here's what's interesting, okay? So the Hierophant is a card that has connections to Tauruses. That is your card as a Taurus. And the King of Pentacles can represent an earth sign, so it can represent a Virgo. And the Page of Wands talks about either a younger person or a behavior or a tendency or an action. Okay, so here's the Taurus, here's the Virgo. It's literal in this spread, okay? For the Page of Wands to be coming up with the 7 of Wands as your confirmation, I get the impression that there was either a very selfish or a very reactionary or a very immature thing that came about with you guys, okay? Because that's what the page is. The Hierophant is, it can talk about structure, it can talk about routine, what is expected, it is tradition, it is upholding something. So if you're in a relationship, you're going to be respectful, you're going to be committed, right? If you're in a marriage, you're going to do that. If you're in a professional setting, you're going to act professional. This is just basically kind of keeping status quo and the expectations that maybe you hold yourself to. That's the other way I could look at this with the Hierophant coming up. It's like, I'm under pressure too, but do you see me acting like a psycho, right? So there can be a sense of you getting upset because you feel like you're doing something or meeting somebody halfway and they can't do the same. And so this card can go both ways. There can also be a sense of being like, you are expecting somebody to be just as, consistent or just as considerate as you, right? But you may have really high expectations for yourself. So holding other people to those expectations can be challenging because there's a lot of output, but inevitably at some point you may feel a little bit let down because somebody else can't stay on top of it like you can. So here's the King of Pentacles. And that does talk about, like I said, an earth sign male. So in this situation, if we're talking about a Taurus and a Virgo, that is going to be the Virgo. But it also might be talking about you having to be like the adult in the room or the person who's like, hey, this isn't fair, or I don't agree with this, or I don't like this. Now it can be about financial situations, who's paying for things, whether or not somebody is physically showing up, if they're, following through with something they told you that they were going to do. It can also be just talking about somebody who's not being responsible, right? So the King of Pentacles coming up with the Page of Wands is being like, what's going on? Why are you not being responsible? Why are you not acting your age, right? And then the page can talk about, with the Page of Wands, somebody who is being irrational, they're being argumentative, they're antagonistic, they're possibly being immature or not being considerate of another person, right? So, I mean, it's pretty much hitting the nail on the head. I don't think this is a long-term thing because I do see that he has King of Pentacle potential. So he does have the potential to be reliable, consistent, stable, kind. But there is some coldness to that sometimes. And so maybe you saw him when he was like a little bit, going through some stuff. Like I said, him having a full moon in his 12th house as a Libra risings. Libra risings don't do well. Any sign does not do well when you're having a full moon in your 12th house because it represents things that are going on privately and subconsciously that come to the surface. So when I think about a Libra rising having a full moon in Virgo, and that's their 12th house, and he's got a Pisces moon, that's going to trigger the moon in the 3rd house, which means they're acting a little mental, they're drinking, they're being dramatic, they are having issues with reality, right? Because Neptune is there as well. I think it was me that overreacted. He's another lady that didn't answer my call. He's been distant since. Yeah, I don't really see him going anywhere though. If the King of Pentacles was coming up and I saw something like, the 2 of Swords, 7 of Swords, the Death card. If I saw ending things, I'd be like, yeah, you guys had a blow up and you're not going to hear anything. But the King of Pentacles is saying he is going to withhold or maintain that position. It's just you might have caught him at a time where he was being a little bit of a rascal. Like the Page of Wands coming up with the King is like, okay, so I had an off day. I had an off day. I was kind of in a mood. And the Page of Wands can be playful too. It can be somebody who's just being immature. They're kind of going through something and they're exhibiting some behaviors that is not typical of a king. You know what I'm saying? And younger, right? Page of Wands can also represent those younger qualities. Even though he's 6 years younger than you, he's an adult, but those younger qualities still kind of coming out of his system and getting worked out. And Wands can talk about, flirting and fun and not love interest, but like attention, right? Not necessarily a romantic connection, but attention that he's getting from someone or that he's putting out there. And so maybe, you didn't like that. You didn't like the fact that he was being a little flirty because the Hierophant's like, hey, we're together. I have more traditional perspective. If we're in a relationship, we're with each other. I'm not doing that, so why are you doing that? And that's kind of, that's how Tauruses are. Tauruses have that tendency because you guys are ruled by Venus. So there is a sense of being like, I'm committed. What the heck? And here's Mr. King of Pentacles, that's usually pretty solid, and all of a sudden you see this full moon and it's like all the bad behavior comes out. And that's what Libra risings do when they have a full moon, right? All men are essentially, my dad is sprinkling wisdom in the chat right now. He says all men are essentially 5-year-olds, and he's 6 years younger, so he's a -1, right? Yeah. Subtract 1, divided by 3, Carrie, whatever. I don't do math. That's why I do what I'm doing. I don't do math. Just kidding. Astrology is a lot of math. Don't worry. He's not going anywhere. Let him have his moment. And with Jupiter in the 7th house, yes, as a Libra rising, their partners are going to be super feisty right now. So it is what it is. Good luck, Rosa. Let me know. But he'll be around. Don't worry. Malaya, adding to my PayPal message, my gut intuition has been to cut him off, but I really had a hard time letting him go. I pulled tarot and got the sense that he is only interested in surface level texting. Thank you. Okay. He's also 20 years older than me, if that helps. I like how I read that message before I read this message, because I already know where this is going. We'll read your message. The last tarot reading you did for me, you asked me if I was dealing with a Virgo. It scared me because I was, and he has since cut me off, yet still decides to text me every now and then. I'm moving back closer to said Virgo, and I want your intuitive insight. If he's going to try to reconnect or mend things, he withdrew his presence in my life and kind of affected me in ways I hadn't expected. We only dated for a month or so, a super intense connection. My birthday is 5/2/2001. For reference, Taurus Sun, Virgo Moon, Libra Rising. He's a Virgo Sun, Cancer Moon, Libra Rising as well. Okay, so you're both Libra Risings. He's a Taurus, Sun in the 8th house. Ugh. Wait a second. For reference, Taurus Sun, Virgo Moon, Libra Rising. He is a Virgo Sun. Okay, girl. So you have this full moon that happened in your 12th house. And you've got Uranus around your Sun. And he's a Virgo Sun, Cancer Moon, Libra Rising. So he's a 12th houser, Moon in the 10th, Libra Rising. Okay, got it. I'm visual, sorry. So can I just talk to you about your astrology really quick? I know this is a tarot reading, but whatever, okay? Depending on the degrees of what your chart is right now, you have Jupiter going through your 7th house. So it's a really strong time for relationships for any Libra rising, but especially for you. Now, on top of that, you've got Uranus that's going through Taurus, right? So it's in your 8th house, which means wild fluctuations and changes with your, sex life, with your finances, sudden opportunities for change, and it's coming into conjunction with your Sun. For Libra rising, right, the 10th house, the 11th house, and in astrology in general, the 11th house represents lovers or people of those who you are with. So if you're married, that would be the mistress of your husband. If you're dating a guy, that would be the girl he's screwing around with, right? So as Uranus is coming into contact with your Sun, one thing to be mindful of is that there's going to be drama that can happen because there could be other people. I'm not saying there is, but there could be. Equally, he's 20 years older than you. So this is just coming from somebody who's just seen a lot of this stuff. At that point, he's either with it or he's not with it. And if he's a Libra rising, he's got his Sun in the 12th house, he's got his Moon in the 10th house. 12th house men, they know they can hide. That's what happens. They know they can hide. So you got freaked out because I said that you were talking to a Virgo. That's funny. So let's see what the cards say. You're going to be moving closer to him. Let's see what the tarot seems to suggest in terms of whether or not you guys are going to reconnect or mend things. For Virgos, in general, Saturn going into Pisces is about relationships and finding the opportunity to commit more seriously to relationships. The challenge is that right now, for both of you guys as Libra risings, there needs to be a sense of really holding the line with what your expectations are for yourself, what your boundaries are, and only then can relationships flourish, right? I was in a relationship when I met him. I know it's bad, but I wonder why he came around to begin with. He admits he hides. I'm just generally lost with what our connection was supposed to mean. Let's take a look. All right, so this is what the cards say. Girl. Okay. So you want to ask about him, but I want to ask about who you've been with because we've got a situation here. 3 of Cups means 3 is a crowd. It means three's a crowd. So do you have somebody else that's still on the hook? You said that when you met him, you were in a relationship, but is that person still kind of around, or are you ending that relationship because you're moving? Who is this talking about? Is this talking about, oh my goodness. Three of Cups means three is a crowd, too many people. That was the confirmation card I got, which was the Three of Swords, which means as long as there's too many cooks in the kitchen, somebody's going to get burned. You get what I'm saying? We've got King of Cups and we've got King of Wands. So this can either mean that this is the person that comes along to shake you up and make you realize that you were probably settling in a relationship, right? Or this is the person who comes along to potentially be a vibrational match, but other people have things going on. So if you're still attached to that guy who you were dating, you need to pick a lane and make a decision about whether you're with it or you're not with it. This is not judgment, because I've heard it all. And like having a situation where there's one extra person is probably like the lowest end of the spectrum of crazy things that I've heard from clients. So I don't judge. Because there is this sense of this other person that's kind of hanging around, I feel like it's like hindering the opportunity to like really make a decision. Because maybe you know that you have that fallback person, maybe you know that they're safe and that you've been there, done that, and you're interested in connecting with him, but like, yeah, he's gonna hide a little bit, okay? I would watch what's going on with the eclipse. So being that you're both Libra risings, there's gonna be an eclipse in mid-April, right around when the new year starts, and that's gonna basically show you what's going on in relationships, who's gonna show up. Because this is not a Virgo card, right? This isn't a fire sign. So Aries, Leo, Sag, Sun, Moon, Rising, right? I get the impression that it's like he comes in, he shakes you up a little bit, there's a connection, you're like, wow, my boyfriend sucks, or I'm moving, this isn't working, I gotta let him go, in hopes that moving and you coming together might work, but I actually have a feeling you're gonna meet another person. I try to talk to him and he often leaves me on read, thinking of dropping it all together. I would. Personally, I would, knowing that the future card is saying it's a completely different element. Who's coming in is a completely different element. This is going to be Mr. King of Wands. So this is somebody who is feisty, they're direct, they're quick moving, right? There is a sense of them being like, let's get going. Here's the problem, okay? And this is the problem for Libra risings, because you're going to spend the first 30 years of your life trying to figure out what's wrong with your relationships, and you're going to realize it's because of an imbalance you have with yourself. It's just how it works. So yeah, prominent people are going to come in right now, but it looks to me like you're going to be pulling somebody else in who may just, it may be, that may be a bad boy. There may be somebody else who comes in that you're like, I just can't quit you type of energy. It can also materialize as somebody who comes in that you're like, oh, I see the pattern. I go after what's quick, or I go after where there's the passion, or I go after, you know, something that I probably shouldn't. It does talk about temptation, so it can even mean that there can be another complicated situation, right? And being that Uranus rules shocks and surprises, it also rules your 5th house. You got to be really careful, because worst case scenario, this is like unexpected pregnancies. Best case scenario, it ends up being, wow, I met this person that just totally changed the way that I look at relationships and I'm really ready for it, right? He told me he was the devil in my life. He's sort of religious and very crazy. Yeah, temptation. Okay. Yeah, but I think that, and this is like no offense to you, but like you're like 22 years old, you know? This guy's fucking 40 years old. He's probably, he knows he's trying to date a 20-year-old. And if he's 40 and he still doesn't have his shit together, that tells you something. No offense to him, but that tells you something. Hello, Satan. I was thinking that. I didn't say it, but I was thinking it. What is that from? I forget. And be mindful that if this is something you're working through, it's going to keep happening, right? I'm not saying you're going to keep meeting guys of the same caliber, but you're going to start noticing where people come in quick and they come in fast, and that's That's totally expected with Jupiter and the North Node moving into your 7th house. I also feel as Pluto comes into your 5th house, you're going to start realizing like, okay, am I really willing to trade that chemistry, that quick connection, and take that risk or take that gamble and potentially get my heart broken, right? Yeah, he left as quick as he came. Bye. Banish him. Be done. And watch for who's coming next. It can be some like Capricorn fire combination. That's the other way I could look at it. Could be a Capricorn with a fire moon or rising or vice versa. But somebody else is going to pop in. We've got Ann. Ann, are you still here? And then Kayla. And then we're good. I know you said something a while ago, but I don't have your message anymore. So if you're still here, Ann, let me know. I'm going to scroll up and see if I can find out. There she is. She was ready. She had the trigger finger ready. Yes, I'm here. Sun in Leo, Gemini moon, Cancer rising. He is 35. Firstborn of 3 siblings. I'm an Aries sun, Capricorn moon, Sag rising. Happily, unconditionally loving mother. It's about my son. Okay. Okay, so this is your son, Jack. I just said Jax. I'm just reading your text. So what do you want to ask about your son? Cap Moon Gang. Do you have a particular question about your son? So he is a Leo, Gemini moon, Cancer rising. Cancer rising, Leo sun, Gemini moon, and the 12th. Oh, he's taking your inheritance. No, but what is he thinking? Okay. So being that he is a Cancer rising, right? Pluto's in his 7th house, so it's conflict with others. And then you're seeing Jupiter go through the 10th house, so he's wanting to fight for things. And you're going to see the eclipses in his 1st and his 4th. Watch what's happening over the summer, okay? Summertime. End of summer going into fall, right? So right when we start seeing Venus retrograde, July and August, Venus is going to retrograde over his placements in his 2nd house, where it's about having to give money back, right? Venus rules his 4th house, so it's about mom or family going after him, being like, you got to give that stuff back. You can't hold on to it. And then you're going to see eclipses that are going to take place in the fall in the 4th house, which can be about family, money, property, home, things like that. So I'm thinking like July through September, right? October. That's when you're going to see the most action. But let's see what the cards say. What is Jack thinking? Why would he steal from his mother? Well, you're going to have some family that'll go toe-to-toe with that behavior. So here's what we have, okay? 9 of Cups, the Tower, the 5 of Wands. It's pretty fair to say that there are going to be some people involved here that are going to kind of make his life hell. Right now, 9 of Cups is like, swipe, got what I wanted, I'm good, high on the hog. The only thing that I would really say with this is just, you know, in terms of when he's taken and what he does with it, there can be a sense of indulging. So whether that's, you know, money that he's stolen, that he's spending, things that he's buying, investing it in things. There is a sense of feeling like really full of himself. The 9 of Cups is generally a positive card, but in the past position, it's saying like, I feel like I've earned it. I deserved it. It's mine. It's mine for the taking. This is, I get to spend this, right? Then we have the Tower. So it's like the oh shit card. And this does represent Mars transits, okay? And so I know in the back of my mind later this year, right around the time we're coming into the eclipses, Mars is also going to come into Libra. It's going to swing through his 4th house. And when it swings through his 4th house, it's going to square his ascendant. It's going to square Pluto, which tells me that there is going to be a sense of family basically saying, we're going after you for this. We're going to hold you accountable for this. You're going to give it back, or you're going to return it, or otherwise we're going to have problems. It's not smart being a Cancer rising doing this, knowing that Pluto is also going into his 8th house, which is going to deal with taxes, crime, things that have to be given back, that have to be exchanged, you know, things like that. But the Tower is saying there is going to be a moment where things are going to fall, and this is about action. It's not about family cutting them off. It's not about people making threats. It's literally about something happening. I'm not going to say it's karma, because it's not my job. It's not my place to be like, oh, he's got karma coming, because for every action, there's a reaction, whether it takes place in this lifetime or in another lifetime. But I definitely think that there's some kind of catastrophic thing that's going to happen that's going to make him realize, like, oh, like, I can't do this. There's going to be a repercussion here. Then we have the 5 of Wands. So, you know, this is about people challenging him and arguing with him and going back and forth with him about what he did and what he did not do. So it does seem like there's going to be like a ripple effect where even if you're not the one going after him, other people will. So whether it's like children that are going to try to suggest that they're going after him, or they're, you know, fighting him. Hopefully, fingers crossed, this does not become some combative situation over the holidays, because it literally could. When Mars and other planets go into Libra, for him, it's a time where it's not really smart for him to be hanging out at home with the family. And this is going to be literally September, right around the time Venus ends its retrograde, and then Mars is going to go into Libra. And I feel like that can be a time where there's going to be some real issues with other people in the family who are going to take it upon themselves to, you know, challenge him. The Tower card makes me feel like there can be a situation that happens to him personally that makes him realize, like, oh shit, you know, there's something going on and I need help, and it's not something that money can fix, where he would need the support of a family member. And he's going to realize very quickly that he has eroded, because of his behaviors, some of that support system. That he can't just go back to the same people who have helped him in the past, or when he feels like he's scrambling and he needs some support or assistance, people are going to be like, you can't come back here. And like, it may take that for him to realize, like, wow, I've burned this bridge, right? But it's unfortunate, because I don't see cards coming up that's saying, oh, I'm willingly going to give it back. You know, I feel bad. I shouldn't have done that. Like, these aren't remorseful cards. These are, I did what I did. I'm going to suffer the consequences. And then when I try to throw a fit and I tell people, why aren't you here for me? They're going to be like, get out of here. Not only that, but there are some people that probably should not be left alone in a room with him. You know, I hate to say that. What's interesting though, and I don't really see your family as combative, right? But I think it's funny that the 5 of Wands is coming up, and then the confirmation card that you have is the 3 of Cups. It's saying that you may not have always all gotten along, like the whole family, but something about this drama has brought you guys together in a united front. 3 of Cups. This may also be talking about that there are celebrations and things that are going to be had. You know, kids might get married, you know, you guys may have celebrations, parties, babies are born, you guys are celebrating things, and he's not involved. And there may be a sense of you guys looking around being like, things are a lot easier and more calm not having him involved in family functions. And I'm not encouraging you to not invite him. Knowing his astrology, I wouldn't, but do what you want. But the 3 of Cups is about harmony and everybody having like a good time and realizing like, wow, maybe he was like the common denominator for having had drama at family, you know, get-togethers. Like, he's kind of been the bad apple, right? So in a way, it's like, did he bring this on himself, or was the universe removing him from your guys' family unit for a little bit because he's creating conflict? So I hate to say that, but one way or another, this is going to come back around. I would say be careful. Don't leave people alone with him, or be mindful if he does come back around in the fall that it could literally turn into not only something that's disruptive, but like there could literally be people fist fighting in your living room with that 5 of Wands, okay? And if you're like, hey, I would just rather him leave and let the universe handle it, that's a great mentality. And also know that it is going to give you more harmony and allow you and your family to come together, and there's going to be a little bit more peace. So I'm sorry. I wish that I could have told you I saw some remorse there, but unfortunately I don't. That's a bummer. Keep us updated. Thank you for joining us. You can always circle back in and let me know on another reading. And then finally, Kayla. Kayla. Kayla says, F this energy. I cut off my dad. Maybe this is the karmic clearing, but Saturn in Pisces has really shifted things. Well, Kayla, Pisces and Libra don't get along. Didn't you know that? I know you're an Aquarius, but you're a Pisces rising. I mean, a Libra rising. So when Saturn goes into Pisces, it does not resonate with your ascendant. And Libra risings, they want peace and harmony, and there's a sense of just wanting to smooth things over. And then when Saturn goes into your 6th house, there is a sense of being like, this is not worth wrecking my mental health over, or you know, it's not worth making myself sick over. I don't have time for this. And then the 6th house is about open enemies, or excuse me, hidden enemies. Even if your dad's not somewhere plotting against you, but you get what I'm saying? Saturn rules your family. So Saturn moving into your 6th house, you're going to see where it, you know, there are certain family members or relatives that you're like, this is really impacting my mental health or my vibes. Pisces. There you go. You told him he wasn't worth your mental health. That is, Saturn hasn't even been in your 6th house for more than a week, and you're already grasping all of the lessons that you're supposed to be learning from all of that. Yeah. The Saturn ingress was felt pretty strongly. I felt the same way. All right, so let's take a look. Let's see what the cards say in terms of moving through this. Oh, here we go again. 3 of Cups, 8 of Swords, and the Strength card. There's that 3 of Cups again. Interesting. I have a question for you. So when you had that conversation with him, who kind of gathered around you and supported you? Like, what happened here? Because to me, it seems like, you know, okay, so you made a difficult decision. You know, had to tell him what's up. You had to tell him how you were feeling, maybe what you've been holding back or what you've been afraid to say or what you've been afraid to acknowledge. Oh, your son's father. Okay. Because I see that, like, you made the difficult decision. Like, you said something even though you didn't know how it was going to pan out or what was going to go down. But people kind of supported you, right? Like, they kind of came around and they were like, no, we've got your back. And they celebrated the fact that you were able to do something, which is a weird shift, right? Yeah, but here's the thing. Saturn's weird, right? Saturn can deal with men, it can deal with fathers, it can deal with like limitations and karma. But if that was the shift that had to happen, where you were having problems with baby daddy and, you know, he realized how much mental distress or emotional distress you were having dealing with your dad, that he was like, I need you to be in a good place, so I support you. Great. That's the exchange. That's the change. People don't realize Saturn in Pisces is about the willingness to let things go. That's really what it's about. The willingness to let things go, to become clear about what is invisibly affecting you, which is hard because it's about emotions and vibes and intentions and all that stuff. And I think that that's a wonderful way to start the reading. 3 of Cups is basically people gathering around you, supporting you in the midst of whatever is going on, even though you have felt stuck and like you haven't felt heard. So maybe it's just that sense of feeling like, okay, somebody's got your back, and like if you need to talk to them and they're your soundboard, or if you're needing somebody who's going to tell you you're not crazy, it's okay to say this, like, you know, like, I support you. That's what was necessary to kind of move beyond some of the limits of what you thought you could say to your dad, right? And then the final card being the Strength card. So it's saying that you're realizing that strength is not about physical strength. Sometimes it can be about emotional strength, spiritual strength, right? The sense of you realizing like, I can't tame him. I can't change him. I can't fix him. It's not my job. I don't have to physically put myself in situations where I'm enduring this anymore. I just have to let him be. And sometimes strength is about walking away, right? And not challenging the beast, because it's a dangerous situation with the Strength card. I mean, it can literally talk about putting yourself in a situation where somebody could literally energetically have you in a chokehold if they wanted to. But instead, looking at it and being like, this isn't worth my time, it's not worth my energy, you know, this is going to take me down with it, I'm walking away. That is strength in a different sense, right? She's taking him for this. Yeah. Yeah. Well, and I mean, here's the other thing. I mean, it's been an interesting thing to watch Saturn change signs, especially for Libra rising charts. I've seen a lot of them talk about how where they've had issues with like past relationships or romantic partners or whatever, now they're like coming back and like making amends. So maybe that's partially why you had that experience that you had, where all of a sudden, you know, you have the support of him now that he's been through a difficult time, and he's like, okay, I need to be there for her. But regardless, I feel like you're breaking out of something. Like the way that the cards kind of progress is it's suggesting that you're learning not to silence yourself. You're learning not to make yourself small, because that's what this card is about in the center position, that you have been in this place of being like, I'm just not going to say anything. It's just easier if I don't rock the boat. I'm just going to keep quiet. It's going to go away. I don't have to acknowledge it. And it just kind of got to a point where it's like, you can't. And I think that this is really positive, because now you can move forward and you're not feeling limited anymore in your mind, right? And also the Strength card can be about you leading by example. So wanting to show your children that there is a better way to handle some of these issues, that, you know, you don't have to just fight back, that sometimes it's about standing up and being like, I'm not going to participate in this at all. Because this card is associated with Leo. So it has connections to your children, particularly if you have a son. So I'm wondering if it's about you going like, I'm going to be the one that's going to break the pattern, and I'm not going to continue this pattern where, you know, my kid is going to see fathers treat, you know, children in a crappy manner. And possibly because that's so important to you, all the more reason to have it, to have your, you know, the father of your son involved in this whole process, because it's showing your son like, you know, this is not how men treat their kids, right? And backing you up in that. I don't feel stressed anymore. You're more discerning. I felt so scared of confrontation, but standing up for me and my son in the situation has shifted things. Bingo. So it's also showing you that you've got like the power back and the capability of being able to express yourself and not needing to do it in a confrontational way. It's literally holding back physically, but being able to make just as much of an impact, right? So that's great. I think that if that benefited the relationship with your son's father, you know, maybe you guys can interact and have much more peaceful interactions, and also have a common understanding that you're not going to be exposing your kid to that. And that obviously starts with you, right? So the Strength card is something to celebrate right now. It's basically saying that things are going to lighten up, and I feel like there is this huge kind of clearing that's going on. Yeah, that's really big if you did that right around the time Saturn was leaving your 5th house. Because it's not just about standing up for yourself, it's about like your inner child, that younger version of you with Saturn going through the 5th house, of the last few years of feeling like you don't know how to kind of tackle that situation with a parent. Yeah. Well, I mean, I think you've broken out of that sense of feeling like you can't say anything, and you finally overcame the fear of confrontation, which I think is the biggest thing. Now you know that you can confront him or not have to deal with it at all, right? Sending you lots of good vibes, and I'm really glad to hear that that's how you wrapped up your Saturn lesson. Good for you. Hopefully that was helpful for everybody who decided to hang out with me for Friday night. I appreciate it. For all of you guys who watched all the way through, don't forget to give me a thumbs up if you guys can before we end the stream. I really appreciate it. Any interaction and contact within the video and the channel is super helpful. I'm going to be back on Sunday. We're going to talk about all the stuff for astro weather, so you guys can check that out Sunday morning. Next week, I'm going to say this and I have to keep telling people, I will not be having readings. I've got family in town next week. So I will not be here for a live reading, but hopefully you guys can catch me the week after. I'll post that information. When I do come back, it's going to be for astrology. But check out the videos that we have throughout the next week if you guys need assistance. Equally, if you want to book a personal reading with me, check out my links below. You can go to my website at beyondtheveiltarot.com. You can book a full or half-hour session with me. All of my sessions are a combination of tarot and astrology and what I see clairvoyantly. I equally have courses, so if you guys want to learn how to do this stuff for yourself, check that out as well. Otherwise, I will see all of you guys very soon. Enjoy the rest of your weekend. Take care.